Okay, back into Hubble now. And if I come over here to the right, I can see some of these devices that are directly connected to my MacBook Pro. So I'm recording this screencast on a portable SSD, which is here. Then down here with a red border, we can see that we've got a USB 2 hub. If I click, you get some more information on this. So we've got things like the vendor ID, the product ID, which you can always search up if you're unsure exactly what this device is. And down here at the bottom, I can see why it's got the red border around it, because the bandwidth, it says, is currently oversubscribed. It's trying to pass 972 meg, but the uplink is only 480. You can see it gives a tip below as well. And then over here in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got a legend that shows you what the different colors and sizes of the connection lines mean. Now, the devices that are currently using that hub are my Keychron keyboard, my Audient ID14 audio processor, and also my studio display. Now, I know that my keyboard and my audio processor are directly connected to my studio display. I'm looking at them. So this device here is actually the Studio Display USB 2 hub, and I've renamed it accordingly there. Makes it a lot easier for me to identify in the future. Now, if I come down and click on web search, you can see this just takes that new title of the device and carries out an integrated Google search for that text up here. Now, if you ever have a device that's connected and you're just not quite sure what it is, you can always copy the product ID and then carry out your own search here. Then we can see here on the Apple Wiki, it doesn't take long to find that this is indeed the Studio Display USB 2 hub. Now, this topology map is in real time. What I'm going to do is, you can see we've got the keyboard connected here. I'm just going to disconnect it and it disappears there in a virtual puff of smoke. So I'll just reconnect and it appears again back in the same position as it was. I'll do the same here for my audio processor. I just disconnected and reconnected there. So if I move this canvas across to the left a little bit, pretty much everything else I have is connected through a CalDigit TS4 dock. And the Hubble is telling me that the speed is currently limited on this device, as it is indeed with the USB 3 hub over here. That's what these fat red lines denote down here in the legend. If I come up here to options, I can actually uncheck this option to bundle the group cables, and you'll see that the fat red virtual connector, so to speak, here is now loose and free. And if I come back and enable them, it really does simulate having like a cable sleeve over those cables there. This makes the topology look a little bit tidier. Now, if I come down and click on this, I want to know a little bit more about it. And I can see that it's being throttled to 5,000 meg per second. It's saying there's an upstream bottleneck and to try a better upstream cable port or hub path. I'm looking into that, but I know that this is the Studio Display USB 3 hub. And now I've named that accordingly too. Okay, as said, I've got almost everything going through a TS4 dock. I can see the USB 3 bus path down here and the USB 2 one up here. I've got two devices using that USB 2 path. I've got my Stream Deck and I've got a Magic trackpad connected. Now, I haven't had to configure this information. Hubble has automatically detected it for me. There is an unknown device here. And to be honest, I'm not too sure what this is. When I looked up the product and the vendor ID, it's a CalDigit element, so I'm not too sure what to do with this. I'm not concerned though. If I click on the main USB 2 hub here, again, I can see that this is telling me it's oversubscribed. I've got too many devices connected to it. It is a bit of a false positive there. It's not reporting the information quite correctly because I absolutely 100% only have a Stream Deck here. That's the information, as well as my Magic trackpad, which is using barely anything, up to 12 meg per second. Now, on my main account, I did do some troubleshooting on my CalDigit TS4 here, because when I saw these reds, I was a little bit concerned. For one, I didn't understand the difference between all three of these because they've all got the same name. But if you click on them, you can see that I have one product ID here, which ends in a 1. Then if I come down and check the information on this one, it's the same vendor, but it's got a product ID that ends in 2. So of course, if I come over here to the main hub, it's feeding those other two and it's got the same vendor ID, but this one ends in a 0. So I sent some screenshots to Claude just to ask for some guidance as to why this was saying that the connection is throttled And it turns out it actually isn't. It's just the way that Hubble is reporting it. So Hubble is correctly telling me here that the TS4's USB ports are capable of more speed than the connection back to the Mac allows. Think of a TS4 dock as a bit like a power strip. The strip itself might have like 10 sockets, but it's still plugged into just one socket on the wall. And the wall socket is the limit, not the power strip. It's just physics because I have one cable going back to the Mac and multiple ports on the dock. Hubble isn't telling me that anything's broken here. It's telling me exactly how the system is architected, which is really valuable to know. And before I had this tool, I had no idea that my dock contained 5 separate USB controllers inside it. I had no idea which devices were sharing bandwidth. I was just hoping everything was fine. But Hubble is now telling me exactly what the lay of the land is.